This isn't about supercars, watches, or designer clothes. Those are visible. These are the things only rich people can truly afford. First, time freedom. Rich people don't live by alarms. They don't count hours. They buy back their time with assistants, managers, drivers, and systems. They choose when to work, who to work with, and if they work at all. Time is the most expensive luxury in the world. Second, peace of mind. Bills don't stress them. Emergencies don't destroy them. They can afford problems, and that changes how they sleep at night. True wealth feels calm, not loud. Third, privacy. Private entrances. Private travel. Private communities. Not to flex, but to stay invisible. When you're truly rich, attention becomes a cost, not a reward. Fourth, convenience at the highest level. Personal chefs. On-call doctors. Instant access to anything they need. They don't wait in lines. They don't argue with customer service. Life adapts to them. Fifth, the ability to say no. No bad deals. No toxic people. No obligations they don't want. Being rich means you don't have to explain yourself. Freedom is saying no without consequences. Sixth, risk without fear. Rich people can afford to fail. They invest, lose, learn, and try again. Failure becomes data, not disaster. One smart risk can change everything, and they can afford to take it. Seventh, exclusive experiences. Private islands. Yachts in the open ocean. Front row access, closed door events, moments most people only see online. Experiences money can buy, but time can never replace. Eighth, elite knowledge and access. Top lawyers. Best financial advisors. Private education. They don't guess, they consult. They pay for information before it becomes public. Ninth, health optimization. Personal trainers. Nutrition experts. Preventive care. They don't wait to get sick, they invest in staying strong. Health becomes strategy, not hope. 10th, long-term thinking. Rich people don't chase fast money. They build systems that work while they sleep. They think in decades, not months. And finally, legacy. Trusts. Investments. Generational security. They don't work just for themselves, they build for the future. Money becomes protection, not just pleasure. Because in the end, the real luxury isn't money, it isn't cars, it isn't brands. The real luxury is control. Control over your time. Control over your choices. Control over your life. And there's more. Rich people can afford patience. They don't rush decisions. They wait for the right timing, the right opportunity, the right moment. While others chase fast results, they let time work for them. They can afford silence. They don't need validation. No need to prove anything online. Their success speaks in contracts, assets, and leverage, not likes. They can afford customization. Nothing is off the shelf. Homes are designed around their lifestyle. Cars are built to their taste. Even their schedules are personalized. The world bends slightly to fit them. They can afford security. Not just guards or cameras, but legal protection, financial insulation, backup plans. One mistake doesn't ruin everything. They always have a second move. They can afford better mistakes. When poor people make mistakes, they pay with survival. When rich people make mistakes, they pay with experience. That difference changes how boldly you move. They can afford long conversations. Meetings that last hours. Deals discussed over dinners, not emails. Relationships built slowly, intentionally, quietly. They can afford options. Multiple homes. Multiple passports. Multiple income streams. If one door closes, 10 more are already open. They can afford emotional distance from money. Money isn't fear. Money isn't stress. Money becomes a tool, not a master. They can afford taste. Not trends. Not hype. But timeless quality. Things that last decades instead of seasons. They can afford control over environment. Where they live. Who they're surrounded by. What they hear, see, and focus on every day. Energy becomes curated. They can afford to think. No constant survival mode. No panic decisions. Just space to plan, reflect, and build. Because wealth doesn't just buy things. It buys distance from chaos. And that's the part most people never talk about. The biggest difference between rich and everyone else isn't what they own, it's how calm their life feels. No noise. No rush. No desperation. Just control. So when people ask what rich people can afford, the real answer is simple. They can afford the life most people are too busy surviving to even imagine. They can afford not reacting. No emotional replies. No impulsive decisions. When chaos happens, they pause, because urgency is expensive. They can afford distance from drama. They don't argue online. They don't chase opinions. Their lives are too valuable to be noisy. They can afford waiting rooms without stress. Hospitals. Airports. Legal offices. Even uncomfortable moments don't feel threatening, because outcomes are already handled. They can afford clean exits. From businesses. From relationships. From cities. Nothing traps them. Everything is optional. They can afford mentorship at the highest level. Private conversations with people who move industries, not just trends. Advice that never reaches the internet. They can afford trust. Not blind trust, structured trust. Contracts. Systems. Safeguards. Trust without vulnerability.